This is Fox 17 News at 9, your Code Red station.
Fox 17 News at 9. We start tonight in a Code Red weather alert. We're expecting 2 rounds of stormy weather, which could cause problems for parts of Middle Tennessee. Fox 17 Code Red Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan tracking that system with the threat and the timing.
Yeah, we've got some storms out there now, but the first round that we're going to be looking at for maybe a stray strong thunderstorm or two will be tomorrow afternoon. And then later we'll talk about another one that's possible for Thursday. Both of these chances, though, are pretty low the way they're looking right now. Still, we'll have some pretty stormy weather over the course of the next 48 hours across Middle Tennessee. So we go into tomorrow afternoon, timing mainly between 12 noon and 6 p.m. A conditional threat, what we're calling here, for Wednesday's storms. The threats, hail and wind, but there are a lot of limitations with our storms where they may or may not develop. And we'll go into detail with that here coming up in just a little bit. Right now, though, we're in that level 1 threat out of 5. And again, as I mentioned, damaging wind and some hail possible. This evening, we're looking at a very small chance for a stray strong thunderstorm, which I don't think is actually going to pan out for us now. These are some showers and storms already pushing in a little bit ahead of schedule, but not seeing much in the way of lightning. This will stay sub-severe as it enters into Middle Tennessee with very little instability to work with. Not a lot of energy for severe weather. Still, we're looking at some decent pockets of rain pushing through Henry County, Benton, Stewart, into Houston, and Humphreys County as well. We'll zoom out a little more and you can see they do remain pretty scattered across the area. So we'll continue to track these showers as we go through the overnight. Again, our severe weather threat pretty low, but we'll still see those rain showers around even through tomorrow morning. More off to the west here, getting ready to push across the Mississippi River. And those will arrive just in time for the Wednesday morning commute. So again, pretty stormy for us over the next couple of days with a very small, strong thunderstorm threat. We stay mild through the overnight, temperatures in those mid-60s. We'll talk more about another potential strong thunderstorm threat for Thursday. That a little later in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast. Megan.
Thank you, Katie. And now to crisis in the classroom. Educators weighing in tonight when it comes to the state's plan to allow school teachers and staff to carry guns on campus. The plan passed the Senate last week, but it still has to go before the House. Fox 17 News' Kylie Walker with both sides of that debate tonight.
While others feel that this could do more harm than good for campus safety, others feel that arming school staff could really make the difference here in saving lives.
In the wake of the Covenant school shooting last year, the debate continues on how we can keep our kids safe.
The unfortunate reality is you don't have time to just sit and wait for police to arrive, because by the time they get there, the majority of the killing is already done.
Gloria Mays is a former school teacher, now an active shooter mitigation trainer. She says having well-trained staff on site to respond in a timely manner can be a huge asset to the school, which can also serve as a deterrent.
Anytime there's a sign that says it's a gun-free area, it's pretty much only going to deter law-abiding citizens from bringing a gun to that area. That's never going to stop a criminal from doing the harm that they already want to do.
Mays also used her time on campus to convince her school to hire an in-house armed security team, which would also include teachers.
People were very thankful to know that the school was taking an extra measure to ensure that their child was safe.
But Mary Jo Graham, a local elementary school teacher, feels different.
When highly trained officers have failed to prevent school shootings, and like situations like Uvalde's probably the worst, where it was totally bungled by law enforcement. And why would a teacher with only 40 hours of training do any better?
Graham worries about the potential risk, like if the teacher failed to secure the gun properly and a student got a hold of the gun. She also feels it could negatively impact the learning environment.
It might be voluntary for the individual teacher to choose to carry a gun, but it would not be voluntary for that teacher's coworkers to be in a school where another teacher is carrying a gun.
Now, Tennesseans wait to see when the House will discuss the bill.
Now, Mays says if this bill does pass, she wants to see quarterly training as well as yearly psychological testing. While Graham says she'd rather see SROs having those guns, but in her perfect world, there would be no guns on campus. For now, reporting in Nashville, Kylie Walker, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Continuing coverage, Covenant families urging the House not to pass the bill to allow teachers, principals, and staff to carry guns on campus. Fox 17 News' Peyton Muse has more on both sides.
This bill passed in all committees last year, but was held on the desk in the wake of the Covenant School mass shooting. Parents of Covenant School survivors say teachers need to be in the classroom, not taking down a mass shooter.
Had my daughter's teacher left the classroom to pursue the shooter, a classroom of 9-year-olds would have been left to protect themselves. It's not only irresponsible, but also ludicrous.
Another Covenant School parent read a letter from a teacher who survived the mass shooting on March 27th, 2023, recounting what they went through that day. The teacher says they secured their classrooms as fast as possible, turned the lights off, and lowered the blinds.
We hid in a closet that was not large enough for 13, but we held those babies in our arms, on our legs, and even sat one child on a cabinet. As we heard shots firing over and over and over for what seemed like an eternity, we worked to comfort the frightened children.
Those for the bill say it gave an extra layer of protection.
I'm not going to say I'm happy at all that we even have to have a bill like this, so I wouldn't go to happy immediately. But do I feel that some of the kids might be safer, some of the students and some of the teachers could feel a little bit more empowered that if something did happen?
The bill's sponsor says in part, the legislation creates a carefully vetted voluntary program and the staff undergoes extensive crisis management and safety training along with a mental health evaluation.
Head over to our website at fox17.com for the full statement and stick with us both on air and online for when this bill hits the floor. Reporting at the Capitol, Peyton Muse, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Crisis in the Classroom is Fox 17 News' commitment to exposing problems in our schools and finding solutions. If you have a story you think we should cover, send us an email to news@fox17.com. You can also call our tip line at 615-266-4149. Covering Tennessee's capital tonight, heated debate as members of the State House of Representatives discuss a bill to make it illegal for city or county governments in Tennessee to consider reparations for the descendants of slaves. Some already started those conversations. The measure is sponsored by State Representative John Reagan out of Oak Ridge. It bans local leaders from using tax dollars to even study the prospect of making such payments. Reagan says slavery is a stain on American history, but these payments would create more resentment. What he said right after created a firestorm.
There can never be a morally appropriate reason for unjustly depriving a person of their God-given liberty and selling them into servitude. This is true whether the enslaver is an African monarchy or a Mexican cartel. It is also true whether the transaction...
To say to anyone, local government to individuals, you cannot and you should not study reparations. It's ugly. For lack of a better word, it's ugly.
The unrest led to this bill being pushed back in line a recess. Right now, new life for a bill allowing the creation of a special board to oversee development of 550 acres of land on both sides of the new Titans Stadium. Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell asked for an East Bank Development Authority. State lawmakers pushed back the bill to get it started in the legislature in recent weeks. Several sponsors also withdrew support. Today, an amended version of the bill made it possible right onto the finance committees in the House and the Senate. Senator Heidi Campbell out of Nashville says it's the best way to protect the city and state's investment.
It assures that revenue bonds, not general obligation bonds, will build infrastructure to support private development. There is transparency, annual comptroller audits, open meetings, and a seat for everyone at the table.
Other amendments include an assurance that this board cannot use eminent domain to take private land. The state has committed $500 million for the new stadium and committed another $200 million for a new Tennessee Performing Arts Center that will be part of the development. Still to come tonight, lung cancer, even if you don't smoke, other factors in your home that could be making you
on the hottest deals, 4K TVs, computers, appliances, Bluetooth speakers, and more. Don't miss out. Sale ends Sunday at 7 p.m. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
In your health news tonight, you may think of lung cancer as a smoker's disease, but the CDC says 40,000 non-smokers get the diagnoses each year, and not always due to secondhand smoke. Fox 17 News' Kelly Avellino exposes the hidden cancer danger that may be lurking in your own home.
In 2018, Chastity Harney was teaching at school when she says she felt a sharp pain in her chest.
When I took a deep breath in, it was excruciating.
The pain was better the next day, but Harney's doctor scheduled a CT scan. She says the results were shocking.
When I walked in her office, there was a chair pulled out and a box of tissues, and so I'm thinking, okay. And she said, there's no easy way to tell you this, but you have 2 pretty good sized tumors, mass on your left lung.
Harney was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, even though she never smoked. Her doctors suspect it was caused by a radioactive gas called radon that can seep into your home and in buildings through the soil.
I had no idea what radon was. I never heard radon before.
Researchers estimate that nearly 3,000 lung cancer patients in the United States are linked to radon.
If you have lungs, you can get lung cancer.
Harney's doctor, David Carbone, with the Ohio State University Comprehensive Cancer Center, says it's important to test your home for radon. You can get a kit from a state radon office, hire a qualified radon tester, or buy a kit from a hardware store.
The EPA recommends for sure mitigating to a level below 4 picocuries, but they suggest below 2.
If you have symptoms like chronic coughing or shortness of breath, be aware and please talk to your doctor. Harney says she was given 6 months to live, but with targeted therapy, she's beaten those odds, surviving that incurable disease for years.
My journey's not over yet, and God continues to use me.
Kelly Avellino, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well, if you do detect radon in your home, the Environmental Protection Agency recommends hiring a qualified company to install a radon reduction system. There are some discounts available. You can get all of that information. Just go to fox17.com and click on Fox Links. All right, Katie, we're on a Code Red weather alert. Lurching into these overnight hours, we've got some problem spots you're watching.
Yeah, we do. We have some showers around. The good news is I think most of these will be below severe limits. We're in this low threat for severe weather as we head into mainly tomorrow afternoon. And I was just looking at our analysis here in Middle Tennessee, and we have very little, if any, instability or energy for these storms to become severe. So severe weather chance tonight is going to be very, very low, if not zero. But we'll see some showers around this evening, which is what we're seeing here as we'll put this in motion. And every now and then a couple rumbles of thunder too. You can see our strike count around 0 to 1. In our southern counties here, we had a few showers pushing through Wayne County and into Lawrence County this evening also. So again, we will continue to see these rain showers around as we head through the overnight. So overnight, essentially, we could almost change this to none because it is a very low threat. Tomorrow morning, we'll continue to find these showers around, which should be a 0 threat as well. Then we get into the afternoon with anything redeveloping, there will be a very low chance for strong thunderstorms. And then again, Thursday evening, a low chance for strong thunderstorms here. So with this round coming in for tomorrow afternoon, there's going to be a lot of limitations. Wind and hail, that's possible, but we're working with relatively low moisture. Not a lot of, again, energy for these thunderstorms to become severe or get stronger. Surface location is the surface low is actually well north of us. It needs to be a little bit closer for these storms really to give us a good dynamic for anything strong to severe. And we're really struggling to find a trigger or a front. These storms don't have a front nearby, and that would help, again, make them stronger or form more for the afternoon. So case in point, a low chance for tomorrow, but not a 0 chance. Then we get into Thursday. This is our outlook for Thursday here. Damaging wind and hail, again, will be the main threats. This will be Thursday night, it's looking like, after 6 p.m. Level 1 threat, but once again, I think we're looking at a relatively overall low threat for severe weather, but it's not a zero chance. So that's why we want to make sure that you're at least aware of the fact that we could have a couple of these around over the next 24, even 48 hours, we'll say. As we take you through the overnight, you can see showers and a few rumbles of thunder will be possible even for part of the morning commute. Should not be widespread, but a couple moderate to heavy pockets of rain will definitely be possible through, I would say, morning hours, depending too on how much rain we see in the morning. That could help limit our severe weather threat for the afternoon as well. Case in point, Future Track not really even on board with anything developing for us, but still something we'll keep an eye on. If they do develop, the ingredients are there for severe thunderstorms to happen, but it's going to take a lot to get to that point. As we head through Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, you can see we start things off quiet and we'll get a brief break here. Wednesday, or I should say Thursday morning, is looking pretty quiet for us here. It won't be until Thursday night that we're tracking a slightly better chance for severe weather, albeit still a level 1 chance. This one is along a front, so that's at least something it has going for it, if you will. We're looking at showers and thunderstorms again afternoon, evening, into the late evening hours even for Thursday. This is 10 p.m. here. I think we could be looking at a few isolated damaging wind gusts within this line, along with the possibility of some hail and again those heavy downpours. This should clear as we head into early Friday morning, and generally looking at showers and thunderstorms chances to at least start to diminish as we head towards Friday, more so into Saturday. A lot to talk about over the next couple of days. Stormy. That's really the bottom line. I should just write stormy the next few days here. 64 mild for tonight. We'll see again those showers already starting to move in. We're a little ahead of schedule. Pop-up thunderstorms around. A few of them could be strong to severe, but again, that chance is going to be pretty low for us for Wednesday and for Thursday. We'll have another look at one of our other models that is showing timing for these showers and storms over the course of the next few days. And we'll have a look at your weekend, all in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
Thank you, Katie. Closer to a decision on making the Covenant shooters' writings public. The lasting implications of this debate.
The House of Representatives has now sent the backed with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Lease a new 2024 Sportage LX for $279 a month.
Well, new tonight, they say cash is king, and state lawmakers want to make sure schools keep it that way. They're responding to a growing number of Tennessee schools that only accept credit and debit cards for ball game tickets and concessions. A bill requiring public schools to accept cash and making it illegal to charge cash customers more than card customers has now passed both houses. It's on its way to the governor's desk now. And covering the Capitol tonight, the House sent articles of impeachment of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas to the Senate. At issue, his handling of the southern border. As Fox 17 News' Amira David shows us, this is just the second time in U.S. history House lawmakers impeached a cabinet member. And by the way, you can vote on this issue by scanning that QR code that will appear here shortly on your screen.
The resolution is adopted.
2 months after voting to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas,
ready to present the articles of impeachment.
House Republicans have now officially presented the impeachment articles to the Senate. House Speaker Mike Johnson making clear that the southern border remains the #1 priority for House Republicans.
Secretary Mayorkas has invited this catastrophe into our cities and our states. He and Joe Biden engineered this catastrophe.
In the 2 articles of impeachment, House Republicans have charged Secretary Mayorkas with, quote, high crimes and misdemeanors for repeatedly failing to enforce border security and immigration laws. Article 1, willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law, and Article 2, breach of public trust. Secretary Mayorkas has continuously defended himself, stating during a House Homeland Security hearing on Tuesday that his department has toughened border enforcement.
Is the border secure, Mr. Secretary, today?
With the authorities and the funding that we have, it is as secure as it can be.
Democrats insist Mayorkas has not committed high crimes or misdemeanors and are calling this a politically motivated sham.
Impeachment should never be used to settle
a policy disagreement. This would set an awful precedent for Congress.
But Republicans insist Mayorkas is responsible for the border crisis and should be removed from office.
9.4 million illegal aliens have crossed on Joe Biden's watch. Alejandro Mayorkas has done Joe Biden's bidding. He has been that foot soldier. He has lied to Congress. He has lied to the American people.
As for next steps, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the chamber will convene on Wednesday as a court of impeachment and members will be sworn in as jurors. He stated, quote, "We want to address this issue as expeditiously as possible." I'm Amira David reporting.
Well, during that story, we had the QR code linked up with this poll asking tonight's question: should Homeland Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas be impeached over his handling of the border? And the results there on your screen: 86.5% say yes, 13.5% say no. Well, back here at home and still to come tonight, impacting more than just the Covenant case, the battle over public information happening in Music City.
I'm Atrell Nashar on Capitol.
Don't miss out. Sale ends Sunday at 7 p.m. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
This Fox 17 newscast is sponsored by B.F. Myers Furniture.
The battle to release the Covenant school shooters' writings heating up. Today was the first day for hearings. The judge, attorneys, and public records advocates all agree what's decided here will set a big precedent when it comes to your access to information. Fox 17 News' Amanda Chin bringing us up to speed.
We learned from Metro that the investigation will conclude sometime in July, and they do plan to release a redacted version of the investigative file. But the question still remains: what will the chancellor decide? Will she order anything to be released? The National Police Association, the Tennessean, the Tennessee Star, the Tennessee Firearms Association, and Senator Todd Gardenhire are suing for those writings to be released. Metro says they denied their public records request due to several exceptions, including the fact it's still an open criminal investigation, but are not against redacted documents being released once the investigation is complete. Petitioners believe that exemption does not apply since there is no pending criminal action, just a mere possibility, and feel Metro has not shown there is one. Metro Legal says they would be able to release redacted writings of the shooter found in her car. Chancellor Aisha Miles also allowed the Covenant families to intervene, which led to delays in these proceedings for months. Attorneys for the Covenant families believe these writings will jeopardize school safety and security plans and will further traumatize the families.
We learn from experience, and the more horrible the experience is, the more important it is to learn from that experience and learn everything possible from that experience to prevent future such experiences.
This isn't just about our children, the current students at the Covenant School, and the future of the Covenant School. It's about trying to ensure that there are no future victims that are inspired by this shooter and her ramblings.
And we will be right back here Friday morning as we are expected to hear rebuttal from the petitioners. Reporting inside the Old Metro Courthouse, I'm Amanda Shin, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Now to Operation Crime and Justice. Metro Police say that they have the vehicle that was involved in a hit and run that killed a TSU football player. Officers found this red Ford Edge left in a backyard. Police say the driver hit Chazen Page on Gallatin Pike early Sunday morning. Officers still looking for the person who was behind the wheel. Well, a new report by a bipartisan group of lawmakers says China bears some responsibility for fentanyl overdoses here in the U.S. Some even go as far as to say China is using the opioid epidemic to its advantage. Fox 17 News' Atra El-Nashar digging into those claims.
Almost every fentanyl overdose death, these lawmakers say, can be traced back to China.
It's estimated that 97% of illegal fentanyl entering the U.S.
comes from the People's Republic of China.
In a new report, the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party says the CCP incentivizes Chinese drug makers to export fentanyl precursor chemicals. And though officials there take steps to prevent the sale of these drugs within China, they do almost nothing to stop its companies from selling to other countries, especially the U.S. It's killing more than 150 people every day, according to the CDC's latest data.
It's outright murder.
Paula Young of New Bedford, Massachusetts, agrees. 2 years ago, her 33-year-old son Andrew was given marijuana from someone he knew who told him it was from a dispensary. It wasn't, and it was laced with fentanyl, killing him.
At what point are we all going to come together and understand that this is a crisis of a magnitude that America has never seen?
The committee calls it drug warfare China uses to paint America as a country in moral and cultural decline. China denies the allegations.
The committee is under no impression that this report is actually going to force China to change its alleged practices, but they say by essentially calling it out, the U.S. does have more leverage. Here's how former Attorney General Bill Barr put it.
The Chinese have to be persuaded that we will use our leverage, our economic strength, the power of sanctions.
Sanctions, scrutinizing imports, closing regulatory gaps, all things both sides of the aisle seem to agree on. Even the committee's leaders are not holding their breath Congress will act.
How confident are you that in an election year something's actually going to happen?
You know, I think that the urgency of the moment demands action.
You know, this week we're going to be voting on what could be the last major bills of this Congress.
Young says her elected officials often leave her disappointed, but she's not letting up.
We can't save our children, but we are doing everything we possibly can to save yours.
On Capitol Hill, I'm Atra El-Nashar reporting.
We continue to track a couple chances for severe weather. These are going to be pretty small chances, but not zero. So that's, again, a reason why we're in our code red alert, to make sure that you're at least prepared for the possibility. This evening, we're tracking already some showers and a few rumbles that are pushing through. A lot of the severe weather today has been to our west in portions of Missouri and into Iowa, where there were plenty of severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings earlier this morning. A little bit local or closer to home here locally, we are looking at showers pushing through at the moment, mainly along and west of I-65. These are all non-severe. One storm here trying to make it in western Kentucky. Again, the parameters for tonight are just not that impressive at all. In fact, no instability. So a lot of these are falling apart, and you can see over the past hour. Watch this one in Henry County. See how it just falls apart once it passes over the Tennessee River. So again, not worried about severe weather through the overnight. It'll be a small conditional threat as we head through the day on Wednesday. And then going into Thursday, we'll have another chance for showers as well. At least in the next 24 hours, you can see showers in the morning that should be non-severe. We get into the later part of the afternoon, and that'll be where we have at least a stray strong storm chance. More on your Thursday threat and how the weekend is shaping up coming up.
Thank you, Katie. Some jury members selected in former President Trump's criminal trial.
For more ways to save big every day. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
This Fox 17 newscast is sponsored by U.S. Pest Protection.
Well, day 3 of jury selection will happen tomorrow in the hush money criminal case against former President Trump. The judge already threatened the former president with a contempt charge. Fox News correspondent Nate Foy shows us why Mr. Trump says that this judge shouldn't even be on the bench.
Today in court, Judge Juan Merchan admonished former President Donald Trump for muttering and gesturing toward a prospective juror as his lawyers questioned her credibility. Judge Merchan told Trump he wouldn't tolerate his behavior and will not have any jurors intimidated in his courtroom.
We have a Trump-hating judge. We have a judge who shouldn't be on this case. He's totally conflicted.
Today, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg filed a motion requesting the court hold Trump in criminal contempt on allegations the former president violated a gag order. Bragg requests a $3,000 fine and possible jail time for Trump after 3 social media posts where Trump disparaged witnesses Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels. Judge Merchan will rule on potential sanctions related to a possible gag order violation next Tuesday. Bragg accuses Trump of funneling payments to Daniels through Cohen, his former lawyer, and misrepresenting those payments as legal expenses.
I was paying a lawyer and marked it down as a legal expense, some accountant, and you get indicted over that?
Meanwhile, the jury pool is dwindling.
I was excused.
Because?
My job, I work in cybersecurity, and schedule-wise, it would be really difficult.
The court dismissed several prospective jurors for not being able to judge Trump fairly.
It's very difficult for anyone really in this country to not come to this with prior opinions. I think we all have prior opinions about the defendant unless you've been like living in a cardboard box.
Right now, 7 jurors have been seated with opening statements set to happen on Monday of next week, but that timing very much fluid and dependent on how quickly the remaining 5 jurors can be selected, as well as 6 alternates. Wednesday is an off day, with the trial resuming on Thursday morning. In New York, Nate Foy, Fox News.
Coming up, more on our storm threat as we head into the next few days, and a look ahead at your weekend, plus how it's looking as we head towards the end of April.
And Boeing in the hot seat. What allegations of cutting corners could mean for airline.com
today. When Hardee's wraps eggs, cheese, hash browns, and all the best parts of breakfast in a warm tortilla, you get the goodness of Hardee's home-style breakfast burritos, available in 3 varieties. Hardee's, goodness in the making.
This Fox 17 newscast is sponsored by Electronic Express. We make it happen.
New tonight, Boeing is defending its fleet ahead of a Senate hearing tomorrow. That's when an engineer is set to testify that the company cut corners when making its 777 and 787 Dreamliner jets. A series of malfunctions had airlines grounding those jets in recent months. Joining us now is Robert Katz, commercial pilot and flight instructor. And Mr. Katz, we're obviously not showing your face here because you are still working in the industry, but does any of these accusations that the company is cutting corners strike you as alarming, and is it something that you're seeing?
Yes, it does strike me as alarming, and it's not surprising in today's economy. Boeing is a manufacturer of a product and for profit. Before they can construct their profit, enormous resources of time and money are devoted to engineering, research, and development to create a product that's going to satisfy FAA standards, protocols, requirements, etc. And this is all going to be documented, outlining a plan of action that must be agreed upon before production can proceed. Well, now, once the product goes into production, the problems will begin when Boeing puts pressure on their supervisors to deliver that product more efficiently, more cost effectively, by demanding greater productivity out of their labor performing the construction. And the result is going to be pushback from the labor, blowing the whistle on a process that runs off the rails because now the agreed upon plan of action is no longer being followed.
Well,
so cutting.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Mr. Katz, I was just going to say, we've seen this for years, Boeing pointing fingers, trying to establish blame here. What do you think that's done to consumer confidence at this point?
Well, it's consumers are to be concerned. You cannot roll the dice with people's lives in a product like an airplane. You only get one chance to do it right. And for many years, for many decades, the FAA has been in this cozy relationship with Boeing, or vice versa, where in effect the fox was entrusted with guarding the chickens. And it appears that Boeing management may have violated that trust. And so really the only solution is to revisit this relationship between FAA and Boeing to demand greater oversight. And that's going to involve not only Boeing, but FAA devoting greater resources to making sure that the production process follows the original plan of action. And then these whistleblowing complaints will go away because there won't be anything to complain about. The finished product will be designed and produced as intended, and the flying public will, be the greater for it.
Well, it'll be very telling to see how this all plays out tomorrow in Washington. Robert Katz, commercial pilot and flight instructor, thank you so much for weighing in tonight.
Thank you.
It's got a lot of people talking, and with the recent mechanical issues, we want to know what you think. Would you more or less likely fly Boeing knowing these issues? 47.6% say yes, you're less likely to fly Boeing. 52.4% say no. You can scan that QR code there on your screen. It'll take you to our X page poll where you can vote, and we'll show you updated results here later in the newscast. All right, we're in a code red weather alert, making sure weather is top of mind heading into the overnight hours and into tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow and even now into Thursday. These are all going to be real small threats for us. These aren't significant severe weather events that we're expecting here, but it is that time of year, the spring season, where it doesn't take much to get a few of these going. The problem with tomorrow's is the limitations. There's a lot of limitations, but if we do see those storms overcome the limitations, the parameters are there for some severe thunderstorms, so want to make sure that you're at least staying aware of that. Live look on Broadway this evening, folks out and about enjoying the night. We have been seeing some showers on radar that will be sub-severe as we go through the evening hours tonight. By tomorrow morning, we're tracking a few more showers on radar here. Could have a few rumbles of thunder. Generally, though, for the morning hours, again, sub-severe. The severe weather threat for tomorrow, small one, will be in the afternoon hours if these storms can get going. But will be a mild start nonetheless with temperatures there in the 60s. As we walk you through tomorrow from Nashville to Clarksville and Murfreesboro, this is at 11 a.m. You can see that winds will be a tad on the breezy side for us. That's the blue color you see here. The percentage is our rain chance, and then temperatures here in the orange, and that will continue to climb back into the 80s for tomorrow with winds remaining about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Notice that our rain chances remain slim. Future Track not really on board with the idea of storms developing, which is telling us that that cap or the lid that I was talking about yesterday, it's keeping it on. So it keeps those storms from forming to begin with, which would be great. But again, if they are able to overcome these limitations, there are some parameters there for some severe weather. So we want to keep an eye on that. As we go through Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, you can see temperatures start to drop back here. Rain chances, we'll have several opportunities for them as we go through Wednesday and again Thursday, a chance for a few strong to severe thunderstorms mainly in the evening. Then we get into Friday, Saturday and Sunday. This becomes more of a pop-up variety as we head towards the weekend here. So we walk you through tonight. You can see that we are looking at a few of those showers already moving in overnight into tomorrow morning, sub-severe or non-severe showers and storms. As we get into the afternoon, here's what one of our models is showing, maybe a little bit of redevelopment in the afternoon hours. Front is well to our west though, and that is again one of the limiting factors is that we don't have that front to help what we say trigger these storms to pop up and really get going. As we get into Wednesday night, early Thursday morning, this front will kind of hang around, but it won't be until Thursday night that we see the main front come through. Another one. This will be 3 o'clock Thursday. Few showers ahead of the line, but this will be the time frame that we need to watch for the potential for a few strong to severe, mainly Thursday night. I'd say up until about midnight when the front finally passes through. Once the front is through, we are in the clear for severe weather. Model here showing though a few showers possible for the start of the weekend, hopefully clearing as we head towards the afternoon hours. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Temperatures go from the mid 80s through Thursday, Friday in the 70s and low 60s by the end of the weekend.
Thank you, Katie. Still to come, a messy drive for at least
Win money. This Fox 17 newscast is sponsored by Eurostone. This Fox 17 This Morning newscast is sponsored by Zander Insurance.
A steer clear traffic alert tonight as folks driving on I-840 in Williamson County in for a bit of a messy commute. And we're talking about this area right here. The eastbound side will be down to 1 lane at least for the next 3 months. You can see in these pictures here a CSX crew working on the railroad somehow damaged a bridge near Thompson Station. TDOT crews may also close the entire bridge at some point for repairs. Fox 17 News will let you know when they plan to do so. And in your consumer news, Verizon will soon be paying $100 million to settle a recent lawsuit involving some of its current and former customers. The lawsuit claimed Verizon falsely advertised services at lower monthly rates than it actually charged customers. Settlement amount caps out at about $100 and will vary based on how many months a customer saw those charges. Well, it's a good sign when it comes to the economy, the role that you, the consumer, is playing. And travel hotspots where you can find the busiest airports around the globe.
In Tennessee, you know you're going to have bugs. So pick up that phone and call US Pest right now.
US Pest!
Nashville's most trusted pest control company.
Yeah! US Pest!
In the economy tonight, Americans went out on a spending spree last month. Retail sales went up for a second straight month in March, up 0.7%. Hey, it's something. It's more than actually twice the estimate, up 4% from a year ago. And Americans were not just spending in stores. Non-store retailers, which include online shopping, saw sales up 2.7% from February. In your business news tonight, Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport once again ranking as the busiest in the world. That's according to the Airports Council. Dubai is in the number 2 spot this time with an increase over last year. 4 other U.S. airports are in the top 10. They include Dallas-Fort Worth, Denver, L.A., and Chicago O'Hare.
I'm Jeff Harris in Washington. Coming up, growing fear from cybersecurity experts as ransomware attacks ramp up. Hear why they expect even more throughout 2024.
It is a newer heart device that could prevent sudden death. I'm Liz Bonus. What's different about it and who needs it? We share details just ahead.
This is Fox 17 News at 10, your Code Red station.
Fox 17 News at 10. We start tonight in a code red weather alert for 2 rounds of potentially severe weather headed our way over the next 24 hours. Fox 17 Code Red Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan here tonight with how you can be ready for both of these threats.
Yeah, as we go through the next couple of days, these are small threats, but they're not zeros. We want to make sure that you're staying weather aware. We'll start with tomorrow's. We have some showers pushing in now. These will be non-severe. But as we head towards tomorrow afternoon, it's more of a conditional threat for us. And that means that we have to overcome some limitations before we see these storms pop up. And the way it's looking right now, models don't have very much confidence that we're going to see these pop. But if they do, there are ingredients available for some strong thunderstorms, mainly wind and hail. Those would be the primary threats. Our outlook tomorrow right now showing this level 1 threat, and it's area wide. So again, if they are able to overcome the limitations, then that is something we'll have to watch for. In the meantime, we do have showers pushing in now. Look over the past hour, though, some of these thunderstorms that just sort of fall apart as they move into Middle Tennessee. That's going to be the general trend as we go through the evening hours tonight, as we see the showers push in, but we don't have enough energy or enough instability to keep these storms going as far as the strength of them are concerned. Still more showers off to our west. We'll see these by tomorrow morning, daybreak or so, as you're heading into work. So keep that in mind. That may still see some showers around, but the overall severe weather threat for tonight is very low. We'll talk more about our timing for storms on Wednesday and then possibly on Thursday. That in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast. Megan.
Well, now to crisis in the classroom. In the wake of the Covenant shooting last year, Tennessee lawmakers want to allow teachers and staff to carry guns on campus. The bill would require the staff member to be trained for 40 hours. School superintendent and police would be the only ones to know who is armed on campus. Tonight, a local elementary teacher says she worries about potential risks that this would pose. But a former teacher who is now an active shooter mitigation trainer says this could help with security threats.
A school's ability to respond in a timely manner is going to be the #1 indicator on the ability to save lives. So the unfortunate reality is you don't have time to just sit and wait for police to arrive, because by the time they get there, the majority of the killing is already done.
I think that's a myth, the myth of the good guy with the gun being the hero, and we just get that idea from Hollywood. But in reality, people aren't gonna run into danger, and it's just not realistic to think that some hero teacher will prevent a school shooting.
Well, the Senate passed the bill last week, and the House is expected to take it up this week. Crisis in the Classroom is Fox 17 News' commitment to exposing problems in our schools and finding solutions. If you have a story that you think we should cover, send us an email to news@fox17.com or call our tip line at 615-266-4149. Well, tomorrow morning, the debate over releasing the Covenant school shooter's writings continues. Today's hearing ended before all arguments could be heard. Several groups are suing Metro to allow the public to see those writings. Metro says it denied the public records request because the case is still under investigation, even though the shooter is dead.
Can you imagine the outcry if Metro Police had announced right away, the killer is dead, the file is closed, here's all the information we have, including names of witnesses we have not interviewed, here's all the information about how she gathered her guns. No, we haven't tracked down how she bought them. We don't need to do that, do we? She's dead. What else is there to find out? That would be outrageous. It would be unprofessional.
Well, attorneys for those behind the lawsuit say releasing them would help us better protect against active shooters in the future. Metro also says that they will likely wrap the case by July and would even release some of those documents. Fox 17 News will be back in the courtroom tomorrow. New tonight, Tennessee state lawmakers butting heads over the topic of reparations for the descendants of slaves. The plan would actually bar any governments from using money to even research the prospect of those payments in the state of Tennessee. The Republican behind the bill says he feels like this would lead to more resentment. Those for reparations say banning them is just ugly. The bill was pushed back, so no decision made today. Continuing coverage tonight over the plan for the state to create a board to oversee development of land next to the new Titan Stadium. Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell asked for the East Bank Development Authority. The idea is to make sure that the state and the city's investment is protected. An amended bill passed the finance committees in the House and the Senate. Well, new tonight, part of I-840 is expected to be closed to one lane for roughly 3 months while crews repair a bridge in Williamson County. These photos show the Thompson Station Bridge damaged by ACSX crews working on the train tracks. The damage is on the side going eastbound. TDOT crews may occasionally need to close the entire bridge for repairs. Fox 17 News Steer Clear Traffic will let you know when you can expect that.
To prepare and stay safe. Fox 17 News, your Code Red station. Alerts, empowers, protects.
This Fox 17 newscast is sponsored by Tennessee Home Buyers.
Covering the Capitol as House Speaker Mike Johnson faces greater opposition on Capitol Hill. A second GOP lawmaker says that he would co-sponsor a motion to vacate the position. As Fox News' Aisha Hasney reports, this comes as Johnson tries to push an international aid package through Congress.
I am not resigning. And
House Speaker Mike Johnson defiant amid a new call for him to step down. Today, Congressman Thomas Massie announcing he's co-sponsoring Marjorie Taylor Greene's motion to vacate. The pair demanding Johnson announce his intent to resign so the conference can pick a new speaker without plunging the House into the same chaos surrounding Kevin McCarthy's ousting.
No, I'm not going to call the motion to vacate, but I will tell you that if it is called, there will be a lot of people who vote for it.
The fight comes amid Johnson's plan to put foreign aid on the floor, offering separate bills for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan, and a fourth with conservative policies like a Lend-Lease deal for military aid for Ukraine and a TikTok ban as a sweetener. An attempt to give members protection from tough votes. The idea gaining traction by members on both sides of the aisle.
I like it. I do.
If that's what it takes to get it out of this body.
But some conservatives taking issue with the lack of border provisions.
We're seemingly abandoning the border, which is the hill we said we were going to die on for a long time.
Despite the frustration, no one else, aside from Massey and MTG, publicly backing the motion to vacate in fear of risking an already thin majority.
I think right now would be not good timing.
Former President Trump, who publicly endorsed the speaker at Mar-a-Lago last week, did not say if House Republicans should raise the one-person threshold for a motion to vacate, instead telling them to focus on the issues that can help them keep the House in November.
Well, it's unfortunate that people bring it up because right now we have much bigger problems.
Democrats are open to saving the speaker, but they're not making any promises until they see the bill text. On Capitol Hill, I'm Aisha Hasni, Fox News.
Well, new tonight, the first 7 jurors are seated in former President Trump's first criminal trial. Both sides now need to decide on 5 more and 6 alternates. This all stems from allegations the former president had business documents altered to hide a hush money payment to a former adult film star. Mr. Trump says he's innocent.
This is a trial that should have never been brought.
Donald Trump has completely lost control of the situation in the courtroom. You're seeing this very palpable fear of a criminal defendant.
All prospective jurors are being asked 42 questions before being seated or dismissed. And in international news tonight, the United States aiming to improve communications with the Chinese military. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin speaking with his Chinese counterpart this morning for the first time in 2 years. The Pentagon says Austin emphasized the desire to maintain open lines of military-to-military communication. They're concerned about unsafe and unprofessional incidents involving both militaries in the Pacific. And a time-sensitive situation, how President Biden is trying to prevent escalation between Israel and Iran.
And more.
$9, just $1.99. That's right now during the Rooms to Go Sleeper Sofa Sale.
This Fox 17 newscast is sponsored by Eurostone.
Kraft Heinz is facing a class action lawsuit that claims its Lunchables pre-packaged meal kits contain harmful metals. A company spokesperson telling TMZ its products are safe, saying certain substances like lead occur in the environment and can be found at low levels in agricultural products, whether on grocery store shelves, in the produce section, or grown in your backyard. A Consumer Reports study found the company was misleading customers about the safety of their product. Breakfast bagel sandwiches are coming back to McDonald's locations in California. It's part of the company's plan to offset the state's new $20 wage hike for fast food workers. McDonald's hopes that this will help boost store traffic. The breakfast bagel was first introduced in 1999. The company stopped serving it as a standalone item in 2020. The Golden Arches also spending $15 million on advertising across the Golden State. And more car shoppers are deciding to buy a hybrid. The Wall Street Journal says the sales gap between hybrids and electric vehicles has been widening recently. Purchases of gas-electric hybrids started increasing last year. At the start of this year, about 180,000 more hybrids than EVs were sold. That's business. I'm CJ Papa, Fox News.
Well, tomorrow, plane manufacturer Boeing will address allegations raised by whistleblower and engineer Sam Salahpour concerning the company using shortcuts when making the 777 and 787 Dreamliner jets. Boeing has been questioned about its safety since 2 of its planes went down in 2018 and 2019, killing 346 people. These crashes led to a 20-month grounding of the 737 MAX. Boeing was thrust back into the spotlight earlier this year when a door flew right off of a 737 MAX flight by Alaska Airlines. And earlier in our newscast, we told you about our X poll that's up and running right now, asking the question, with recent mechanical issues of commercial airplanes, are you less likely to fly? All right, the numbers are coming in, moving as we speak. In fact, just about 270 people weighing in on this. 52% say no, they are not less likely to fly. 48% say yes. So those numbers hovering around the middle there. Each night, look for a brand new poll on our X page that you can participate in. Continuing coverage tonight, President Biden and his team trying to convince Israel not to escalate the already dangerous situation in the Middle East. Fox News' Rich Edson explains the possible fallout.
With the Middle East facing the potential of an even wider, more destructive war, President Biden took off for 3 days of campaigning in Pennsylvania. On the road and in Washington, administration officials are urging Israel to avoid an expanded conflict with Iran and its proxies. Israel has warned Iran will face consequences for its massive missile and drone attacks Saturday.
The president has been very clear that we stand with Israel in their self-defense, but we really don't want to see a wider war, a wider regional conflict, and we don't seek war with Iran.
Republicans accuse the administration of losing its sense of perspective and argue the most effective way to deter Iran is a robust response.
5 ballistic missiles hit Israel, and I think if 5 ballistic missiles hit the United States of America, you're damn right we would respond. Until you impose costs on Iran itself, until you dry up their cash, they're just going to keep producing cheap drones because they can get away with it.
Administration officials say they've imposed more than 500 sanctions on Iran and Iranian entities and are warning of more.
Treasury will not hesitate to work with our allies to use our sanctions authority to continue disrupting the Iranian regime's malign and destabilizing activity.
The White House says the administration is working with American allies on additional sanctions. Other American allies are also pressing Israel. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak says he told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today that a significant escalation is in no one's interest. At the White House, Rich Edson, Fox News.
We continue to track the potential for a few strong thunderstorms as we head into the day on Wednesday here. This has been a very tricky forecast to try not only to figure out, but to communicate to you as well. We do have some showers around for tonight. I do believe that the storms for this evening and tomorrow morning will be below severe limits. There's a very outside chance that a few strong storms could exist between 12 midnight and 2 a.m., mainly up near Trigg, Henry, Stewart counties. But even that, I think, is a pretty low chance. You can see over the past hour, we've had some showers around, but just really limiting any type of instability in the atmosphere. So these are all benign for now and should stay that way as we go through the overnight. We get into tomorrow afternoon. There's a potential for some redevelopment. Models have not been handling that well. They are not on board with the idea, but there's the ingredients that are there, at least, for strong storms. A lot of limitations, though. Hail and wind would be the primary threats, but we're looking at relatively low moisture with these storms for tomorrow. Along with that, the surface low with this whole system, it's well north of us. And the farther away it is, the harder it is for these thunderstorms to really get the energy they need to become strong to severe. We also don't have a trigger for these storms, which would be a cold front or a short wave or some type of energy coming through. And that's not going to be the case for us tomorrow either. Still, we are in a level 1 out of 5 threat just because of the ingredients that are available for these storms to pop. If they are able to, we could see them become strong quickly. Hail and wind again being the main threats here. Then we get into Thursday. We'll have a brief break in the afternoon Thursday, but by Thursday night, we're tracking yet another round. This one is looking a little bit more potent at this time, mainly because there's a cold front coming in with this one, and that would lead us to believe that some strong storms with wind and hail would be possible, and that would be Thursday night, mainly after 6 p.m. So for tomorrow, we'll look at a couple showers and storms. Otherwise, temperatures will be in those 80s. I think we're looking at a stormy morning with some showers pushing through, and you can see that here through the overnight, even into tomorrow morning. Mainly cloudy skies with showers and a few rumbles. Again, mainly non-severe at this point. As we get into the afternoon, Future Track really not on board with anything developing, which would mean that those limitations are keeping us all below severe limits and keeping anything from forming, which would be good news if that's the case. Into Thursday morning, you notice we'll start things off quiet and a bit of a break for us here before another chance moves in. This one, again, looking a little more intense. It's along a front, so it's got a little more going for it. As we go into 8, 9, 10 o'clock, you can see those showers pushing through. Again, this would be Thursday night into early Friday with wind and hail being the primary threats. So next few days, we will stay in code red mode, just with the potential around. We do cool down quite a bit as we head into the weekend, low 60s by Sunday.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
An impressive display of hail near Asheville, North Carolina on Monday. There's so much that it almost looks like it snowed. Not far away, a bear was caught on camera checking out a bird feeder. And the northern lights were visible Monday night in several northern states. Unfortunately, tonight there is no aurora forecast for the lower 48.
Listen to Off the Radar. New episodes every Tuesday. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
And you can see more stories like this every weekday morning on the National Weather Desk. It starts at 8 a.m. on our sister station, MyTV 30.
I'm Jeff Harrison.
50 bonus cash on a 2023 Ford Explorer, only at your local Ford dealer.
This Fox 17 newscast is sponsored by the Nashville Preds.
New tonight, ransomware attacks on the rise here in the past few years. And as Fox 17 News' Jeff Harris reports, many of these are being blamed on a group called Scattered Spider, but the group is far from a new threat.
Over the past few years, hospitals, a major oil pipeline, and even a Las Vegas casino have all fallen victim to ransomware attacks. But there is a growing fear that a lot more could be on the way, in part because of a group that's called Scattered Spider.
They're a loose affiliation. They don't have a central core, but they kind of have a central mission, and that is engaging in these hacking exercises.
White says Scattered Spider is not a new group of criminals, actually quite the opposite.
They went by Star Fraud. They went by Scatter Swine, UNC 3944.
Different aliases, but the same group. So who are they? White says they're a team of hackers with different specialties who decide to merge their skills.
Well, they come together because they have skill sets and begin to identify with that particular group and find ways through the dark web to begin to communicate with this group and then share collectively these operations.
One of the group's key features is something called social engineering.
And they generally target people to get what we call PII, personally identifiable information. Everything from their names all the way up to potentially authentication codes.
Making it easier to access company information. Now, aside from Scattered Spider, White says another reason why we could see more attacks is because ransomware is one of the top capital accumulators for cyber criminals.
People get invested in this because it's lucrative.
And there's more access to ransomware than we've previously seen.
You can actually go into the dark web and actually purchase ransomware.
According to a report on chainanalysis.com, ransomware payments hit an all-time high in 2023, topping $1 billion. That's a significant increase from what we saw, $567 million in 2022. I'm Jeff Harris reporting from Washington.
It is a newer heart device that could prevent sudden death. I'm Liz Bonus. What's different about it?
And 89 pizzas and 52 all-nighters. The meticulously refined Tiguan. Get 0% APR financing or a $2,000 customer bonus on a new 2024 Tiguan during the Volkswagen 75th anniversary sales event.
In your health news tonight, a new implantable device could help save lives. Fox 17 medical reporter Liz Bonus explains how it keeps the heart beating strong.
Hey there, everybody. What you are looking at here is a new device that could help reduce the odds of sudden cardiac death in those at risk due to abnormal heart rhythm problems. When your heartbeat speeds up or starts beating in a dangerous pattern, as this animation provided by Medtronic shows, you can be at risk of sudden cardiac arrest. Dr. Christian Hayes, the director of electrophysiology at Kentucky's St. Elizabeth Healthcare, says this Aurora EV ICD system, which stands for Extravascular Implantable Cardioverter Defibrillator, is designed to keep you alive.
If your heart stops from a cardiac arrhythmia, this will shock the heart back into normal rhythm.
What makes it different than other ICDs is that traditionally ICD leads are threaded through a vein into the heart.
This device is not inside the heart, it sits on top of the heart, and we're able to treat the heart that way.
The Aurora EV ICD system then potentially reduces the risk of injury to the vein or heart.
We implant this lead behind the sternum, directly on the heart, and that allows us to have a few extra functions.
One of those functions is called ATP, or anti-tachycardia pacing. It can sort of reset an irregular heart rhythm without the painful shocks normally delivered by an ICD.
It looks simple, but it provides a lot of great technology.
Now, this device also recommended even if a person has already had a previous heart attack or a sudden cardiac arrest. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonus reporting.
All right, stay weather alert heading into the overnight hours.
Yeah, really in the next couple of days, we're going to have a few pockets here or there. I think the overnight we should be okay for any severe weather. It'll be tomorrow afternoon if anything is able to develop. Thursday evening is looking a little bit more interesting just because it's got the front with it. So